We got a lot to talk about today. John Wall.
Just a few things, just a few.
Traded to the Houston Rockets for Russell Westbrook. It was rumored a few weeks ago, then it was denied.
Yep.
But it goes through.
That's been
happens.
It's been simmering.
Have to give a shout out to Chris Miller, who I think we may have even had on the show, who tweeted right at the time. He says, "Where there's smoke, there's fire."
He came on the show and said that.
That's correct.
That's right. He did.
Yep. So
and very interesting. I heard about 8 o'clock last night. I'm not sure exactly when it came down.
I think that's when everybody heard.
Yeah,
right?
I was just watching ESPN, and Reese Davis broke in and said, "Yep, big NBA trade." And like you said, JP, this was rumored a few weeks ago, and we wondered if Bradley Beal was consulted on this deal.
For sure,
had to have been
for sure.
And
they don't do it without Brad's consent,
I would think. And then what happens with Bradley now, because he can be a free agent. So does this entice him to re-up?
Well, I got
and
2
sign
years to figure out.
Yeah, so he's the guy. He's the guy in this play. And I think, in my opinion, you get a better all-around player. And this 2023 protected first-round pick, you don't have to worry about that for 3 years, and it's protected anyway.
Who cares about that?
Right.
So couldn't care less about a first-round pick in 2023. Are you kidding me?
Well, it's also protected.
Yeah.
It's also protected, right? It's my
Yeah.
point. But you're getting the better all-around player, and you're getting the healthier player.
Yeah, I think it's basically at this point a no-brainer. We've seen what these guys have done together. Wall coming off the injury, I'm sure he'll be okay. But if you look at historically guys coming off the Achilles, they don't come back the same. Even Kobe doesn't come back the same. Nobody does. So I think it was kind of a no-brainer. I found out that in an interesting way because my son was upstairs doing homework, and all of a sudden. So it must have been a little before 8 o'clock. I can't remember what time it was. It was within a minute or two of it happening. And he came running downstairs. He goes, "Oh, my God, I got to get a Russell Westbrook jersey now."
He's in the market.
Yeah, and
Very
I go,
good.
"Why? What are you talking about?" He goes, "They just traded John Wall for Russell Westbrook." I was like, "You're kidding me."
You won't take your old Rockets jersey, your Stevie franchise jersey, and write John Wall's name on the back like on duct tape?
No.
You won't do that bit.
No, and I won't take like a John Wall jersey or an old Agent Zero jersey and put Westbrook's name on the back.
No, you can't do that.
It's crazy, though, that Wizards fans seemed to be down on the deal more than backing the deal.
Why?
And I think that was just they're catching their feelings. That
I think it's loyalty to
created
John.
a ton of memories.
Maybe it is.
And you started
It's
to
a personal
see
thing.
John Wall kind of coming back. He's so great for the community and all of those things. But this makes them a much better team. They're going to be in the playoffs this year, barring injury. You could just have Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal together with a bunch of bums, but they still have Rui and Thomas Bryant and Bertans off the bench. They drafted the kid from Israel. Mm-hmm. It's going to be an exciting year, I think, for the Washington Wizards. Westbrook will shoot you out of games.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
And he's going to turn the ball over. He's going to turn the ball over about 5 times a game,
There's going to be some games when he shoots you out of it. But he's a better defender than John Wall. He also, I'm going to predict it, he's going to be the leading rebounder on this team. That guy will go up and snatch some rebounds.
Well, he's had a triple-double
No
before.
one plays harder. That's the one thing I know. Nobody plays harder.
I think it's a great deal. If you want to chime in, we'll open up the AAA Always On Call listener lines. We'll take your calls throughout. 800-636-1067. I put out a tweet last night on our Junks Radio account. If you could describe, though, the John Wall era in one word, what would it be? I'd say disappointing, because it never got to the heights that we hoped when they drafted him number 1. It got to the second round of the playoffs and was exciting there for a while, but overall it just never happened.
That's why I can't understand that people are going to be out of their minds upset about Wall departing. I mean, he's had a decade here. He never reached the heights you hoped he would, and the franchise hasn't. I'm not saying it's his fault, but he's the number 1 overall pick that didn't quite live up to the expectations and didn't bring the team where fans thought they would be brought by this point.
Yeah.
But all that being
injuries,
said, there was kind of a love affair between John and the city. There just was. It kind of went both ways, and even though they never really achieved what they wanted in the postseason, he did make them relevant to an extent. And I just think it's just a personal thing where the fans really loved him, and I felt like he really loved DC. It wasn't perfect. There were some moments there where the organization was upset, and John was upset. It wasn't perfect with Brad, But I think you have to give fans a little bit of a break here. They like the guy. The guy played his heart and soul and put it all out on the court for the city. And, the fans are loyal to an extent. I think they'll get over it. I think they'll love Russ.
Oh, he's going to be beloved by the way he plays.
Yeah.
And he's going to bring them more wins. That's the biggest thing. The guy was an MVP in the league not 10 years ago, just a couple of years ago.
2017.
And if you look at his numbers last year, shooting percentage again, that's a little troubling, but he puts up sick numbers. He's close to a triple-double almost every night. He averages a triple-double for an entire season.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the negative about Russ is that he can become disgruntled if things aren't going smoothly.
Right, but they need that, though. They need that intensity. Jason, here's one thing we've heard.
I get that, but what's the impact of the other players, especially the younger players, if that happens?
But here's what we've heard, though, Jason, about him, is that his teammates love him. That maybe unlike John, where – it was like when John was out, everybody eats. There was like a weird vibe going on, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think you have that with Russ. Russ
I like
pushes
the deal.
his guys.
I like the deal. I love the deal.
I think there's something different about him chemistry-wise where Russ is intense all the time, and maybe that could be misconstrued the other way. But I think his teammates love him and coaches love him. So, and I think the fans will embrace him, too. You're talking about a 9-time All-Star.
Well, Scotty's going to love him.
Yeah, I mean, Scotty already does love him.
Yeah,
former, as JP says, MVP. Sure, he's 32 and he'll be on the downside. But this team had already kind of peaked. We already had seen what they were going to do together. I almost just from a why not standpoint am okay with it.
Yeah, and I didn't think they were going to be better with Wall post-Achilles. We'd seen the mix of Wall and Beal, and we'd seen the results or lack thereof. So I was I really like John Wall while he was here, but I'm going to be honest. I don't think I'm going to miss him once the season starts.
You're not. You're going to love Russ.
I'm ready to turn the page.
He played for 2 seasons.
For Russell Westbrook. And look, I hope John Wall does well in his return in Houston. I wish him the best. But I'm ready for this new era. I'm ready for it. I've been ready for it.
Like Eric said, you've seen what this team can do, and the team was so bad, especially defensively. They were ranked 29th, right? So why not just make a deal?
He's a better defender
you were
than
willing
John Wall.
to trade. You were willing to trade Wall and Beal last year,
right?
So you're right. Why not make the deal? It's a good deal for them.
He's
right, we'll
two-time. Let me just say this: he's a 2-time All-NBA first teamer. He's a 5-time All-NBA second teamer. In the last 2 years, he's been a 2-time All-NBA third teamer. I mean, how many times was John? Did John make third team maybe once?
I think one time.
Maybe.
Yeah, it was always sort of on the outside looking in. I mean, in terms of resume, it's not even close.
No, he's a much better player. Again, he won the MVP. Just keep it simple. He's a better player. And for those that don't think he's going to be a great fit with Bradley Beal, what I'd say is take a look at his assist numbers. He has been in double-digit assists in multiple years of his career.
He averaged a triple-double twice.
Last year he wasn't, but that's because he was playing alongside James Harden, and James Harden had the ball in his hand most of the time. Yeah. So I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be great for Bradley Beal. Like, the way that he attacks the basket, he's going to kick it out to Bradley Beal. He's going to knock down threes.
Well, so is Bertans. Bertans going to hit 4 or 5 a game.
Yeah, and John did the same thing. But John was an unknown this year. I saw some numbers about guys returning from Achilles, and we do believe that things have gotten better with medicine and rehab. But Kobe Bryant, when he tore his Achilles, now he was a little bit older, prior to him tearing the Achilles was averaging roughly 28 points per game. When he came back, he was a 19 points a game guy.
Yeah, he's just a different player.
Another guy, if you look at Brandon Jennings, who was a former Wizard, but when he was with the Bucks, he was averaging, I think it was around 17, 18 points a game. He came back, and he was a shell of himself. So it was an unknown with how John Wall is going to return. Houston's blowing it up. Washington got the better in the deal. 800-636-1067. You can call us on the AAA Always On Call listener line. Let's go to Anthony in Dulles, line 1. Anthony, you're on the Junkies. What's up?
Good morning, Junkies. Haven't called in a long time since predicting Washington will be in the division 12-4, 11-5. But I'll tell you what, love this trade. I mean, you gotta give it a chance. I think Russell's a better defender than John, and especially having 2 injuries back-to-back, non-contact injuries, I believe that John had. I don't think he got these injuries that kept him out the last 2 years because of a playing injury, right? He got it going down the steps or something. So that basically just shows you what kind of, I guess, I don't know, maybe how in tune he is. But I'm really looking forward to this. They may not do as well, or they're going to do better, but at least they're going to be a much more exciting team to watch. But also, did the current coach Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant back in the day in Oklahoma?
Yes. Scotty did, yes.
Okay.
Knows them very well.
Yep.
That's a good thing.
He coached him for a bunch of years. He knows Russell Westbrook.
Thank you, Anthony.
Look, the fans who seemed upset, I think a lot of it was feelings, and then there were some like, well, this doesn't make us a title contender. Okay. You weren't a title contender with John Wall.
Right,
it
makes
makes
you
you
better. How about it makes you better than you were before?
They're light years from a title contender.
Right.
So,
you just want them to be a perennial playoff team.
I want them to be fun to watch.
Preferably inside the top 5. Because if you're at 6 or and then once you get to 7, 8, then you're starting this play-in. Remember, they changed the rules. They got this play-in tournament now. So if you want to get and avoid the teams like Milwaukee or Toronto or Miami, teams like that, then you want to be in that top 5. But I think they are.
Jason,
I think they could be a 5 or 6.
I think it's more than that. You want them just to be relevant.
Right.
And they had reached a level of irrelevance the last couple years. And this just makes them relevant, makes them interesting again, and frankly, the town needs it. I don't think it's going to lead to anything incredible, but they're going to be fun to watch, and it's just going to change things up, and let's see what happens.
Yeah. And again, why not?
Yeah, why not? They got nothing to lose.
Why not? Just make the deal.
The why
You're getting
not
rid
sounds
of a hurt player.
The why not sounds like you're losing the deal. They're winning the deal. They get the much better player, and
I agree,
they're going to be a playoff team. You have them as 5 or 6. This is what I think. They may have the best backcourt in the NBA now. You can make arguments. Look, the Splash Brothers aren't together, so you do still have Curry. I think, is D'Angelo Russell still there? Or did he get moved?
He's with the T-Wolves, right?
Yeah, he got moved.
Yeah.
So, it's not Golden State. I think Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum, they've proven themselves. I would put them ahead of them. But Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal are right there with any backcourt in the NBA right now.
I would agree, but it goes beyond that. You got to have defenders, especially on the blocks. You've got to have a bench.
Well, defenders have always been an issue here.
Right. You got to be able to shoot the 3. So it's a lot of factors. Do they have the best backcourt? Yeah, you could debate that. But look, I agree with you, JP. They got the better of the deal. Houston clearly wanted to get rid of Westbrook because he didn't want to be there anymore. And Harden was a question mark on whether he was going to re-sign if Westbrook was still there. So maybe Harden stays now that Wall's there. But I agree. They got the better of the deal.
I just think also he's just going to bring an intensity level that they need. They just need, especially defensively. Mm-hmm. Especially defensively.
I mean, the only team that gave up more points last year was the Hawks in the entire league.
Right.
So Hawks and then the Wizards. You got to be – they're never going to be great defensively, but you can't be second worst. And expect to contend or do anything in the playoffs.
You know what else he does? He plays every night. I mean, he rarely misses games due to injury.
Yep.
Right.
Now he did have an injury last year. He did have an injury last year. Remember, he missed, I think, 4 games in the playoffs with a quad injury. He was coming off a knee surgery the year before. So,
but if you look at his,
perfect with
it's
him.
not perfect. But if you look at his games played, he doesn't miss full seasons.